Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today spawning in on the west side of the map, we've got LoueMT playing in pink as the Chinese, going up against beastyqt playing in yellow on the east side of the map as the Mongols. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ancient Spires. A hybrid map in Age of Empires 4 is kind of divided opinion as to how great it is to play. Certainly a fun one, an interesting one, has a couple of win conditions that different civilizations can take advantage of. And the Chinese versus the Mongols has been an interesting matchup since the beginning of Age of Empires 4. Things have changed over patches, with trade becoming a bit more, powerful, with the Song Dynasty being nerfed a little bit. The dynamics have certainly changed, and going up against the Chinese, often civilizations have had this kind of impetus to try and deny their boom, deny their Song Dynasty boom. But with the advent of trade, and with civilizations like the Mongols traditionally known to be super aggressive, I mean, they're also one of the most effective traders, probably one of the best trading civilizations with the ability to double produce trade using the Ovu. Ancient Spires is one of those maps that can be pretty useful for trade. Trade posts often do spawn a little bit off the edge of the map or the corner of the map, but it's a decent spot there for Beastie. I wouldn't be surprised to see Beastie look to trade on this map. You need to obviously get some map control. That's what the game is really about, getting map control so you can do trade behind it. If you don't have that map control, trade can be punished. And the thing about that is the Chinese aren't necessarily the fastest moving civilization. They can be aggressive with the Zhugnu rush, but they're not traditionally known for that. The Chinese is a bit of in a weird situation at the moment, where their boom was a bit nerfed. They used to be known as a mega boom civilization. Now they're kind of tailored off a little bit with the Song Dynasty being nerfed a little bit. And they're not traditionally a trading civilization themselves, so they're certainly in an awkward spot, especially in this matchup with the Mongols. I think we've had it time and time again. If you play Age of Empires 4 yourself, going up against the Mongols, stuff that you kind of hate coming up against is the fact that, Mongols can get a lot of map control, push you ahead early on with the early military. The fact that they're aggressive early on, can double produce units using the stone and the Ovu. And then they get that map control. And that's what civilizations like the Mongols and the Himalayans seem to be doing really well at the moment. Getting that map control and establishing trade behind it. Making sure that they're not just having to all in all the time. And we do see those two spearmen heading forward with the villager. Looks like an outpost rush is incoming. And the Chinese aren't necessarily the worst civilization at dealing with outpost rushes, especially on hybrid maps, because of the fact that on hybrid maps you're expected to have villagers on wood. So you're not necessarily going to be short for wood for an outpost yourself. That can sometimes happen if you're on a traditional map like Dry Arabia, where wood is not really your primary concern, because on hybrid maps wood actually fuels your food production in terms of fishing ships. It could be a case where LoueMT should be able to get an outpost himself, and he would be able to build it faster. So that's to consider. The question is really if he spots it. That is the big thing. If he spots it. Because he doesn't see this right now. Two spearmen and the outpost going up on that wood line. And that will force LoueMT to have to take another wood line. If it is denied, which it will. I mean, he's not spotted it yet. And that one villager is going to get the outpost in time. It's a shame because the scouts for the Chinese do actually have a larger line of vision. Oh, he spots it now. He's got 3 spearmen. Might be able to deny this. 4 spearmen, rather. Yeah, he does deny it. Holy smokes. Okay, I preempted it a little bit too much. He spotted it just in time, and that was a nice catch by LoueMT. He probably thought, things are a bit quiet. That's a bit unusual when you face up against the Mongols. He will kill that villager as well. And not a great start here for Beastie, must be said. Plenty of time in the game to crawl it back, though, of course. I'm pretty excited to see what beastyqt decides to choose as the landmark. I'm fully anticipating him going for the silver tree. It just feels like a really strong landmark right now, and it feels a bit awkward to miss out on it. But, well, we never know. He might go for the deer stones and try and put early aggression on and just ignore trade altogether. Nice bit of gold tax coming in there for the Chinese. What's interesting though is that it is a bit of a delayed dock, so some civilizations go for a dock nice and early, like literally the first thing they do. Looks like beastyqt wants to go for the silver tree feudal age first and then add in the dock a little bit after, because if you do invest in the dock initially, that does kind of slow down your uptime, and that can leave you a bit vulnerable. Both players recognizing that and going for the traditional sort of fastest feudal approach, but it's quite nice that LoueMT has been able to rely on shorefish. The good thing is that beastyqt has been able to do that as well, I suspect, with the Gur here. He has actually mostly been taking sheep, so pretty traditional opening for Beastie, going for that silver tree. See LoueMT coming forward with this scout already to see what's happening. And this is a big part of this map. Really understanding what your opponent is doing. Are they fish booming? Are they trading? There's quite a few options you can do. I do like that there's a dock up running though for Beastie, getting that food income. LoueMT just relying on the shorefish and the sheep for now. The good thing for this, for the Chinese though, is it does give him tax collection. So it's not the end of the world. It's not such a huge hit to the economy not going for fishing for the Chinese. And it's primarily because of that tax. 2 spearmen here heading in for Beastie, looking to just harass villagers on gold. Gonna go up with the Imperial Academy first. We'll be able to afford some Imperial officials once he gets there, if he can gather some more gold, which is currently being denied. Just temporarily, because he's got plenty of spearmen of his own. Yeah, going quite heavy on gold, and I suspect that's to either 1, get the Imperial officials, maybe 2, go for a fast castle. Could certainly be the approach. You see the silver tree going out towards the Ovu now, maybe looking to double produce those traders. Upgrades coming into hardened spearmen for Beastie and Wheelbarrow. Yeah, it does have an Imperial official queued up. That'll really boost things up. But pretty slow start to the game actually. Just a failed outpost rush for the Mongols so far. And it has to be said, like, the Mongols are traditionally known to be super aggressive, but look at this, he's starting trade and he's happy as Larry. You know, you're getting plenty of gold coming in, and it's a really weird dynamic actually, because once this matchup used to be Mongols trying to have to pressurize and push the Chinese, put the Chinese off of their booming game, but now the Mongols trade now a thing, trade generally being now a thing, and the Mongols being one of the best civilizations at it. It means they can actually go for trade, and it's almost like the Chinese have to pressure the issue. It's such a weird role reversal of the civilizations and how they play out. Villagers to be coming out on the deer pack. It can be a Barbican to defend that position on the gold and the deer as well. It's not a bad spot. The Khan just being annoying though. 6 villagers there. I don't think the Khan does enough damage output to get a villager. Might just about get 1, possibly. It's just going to be annoying. Maybe kill the deer instead. Push them away. No, he's going to focus on the villagers for now. There's that first dock there for the Chinese. Let's go for the second dock as well. So he wants to really boom up with the villagers going towards building those docks. Let's take a look at the trade, how much gold it's bringing in. 104 so far, gold. Not too bad, not too shabby, has to be said. Once the trade is fully up and running, you might move the silver tree a little bit further to the corner of the map. And, yeah, it's a weird opening. Really passive. Spearmen do chase the Khan away, but just been a bit annoying. I'm not sure if he lost a villager there in the end. In any case, he is now establishing himself on the deer. Just the 1 dock for now for Beastie. He's quite happy just to rely on trade. It's quite nice that the trade is bringing in food and gold as well as wood. Moving his silver tree closer to the neutral trade market. I expect he's going to place down a market in this corner and make his way to establish his trade a bit stronger there. Double archery range. Okay, he actually went to this corner here. Does have a couple of outposts as well alongside the trade route. It's quite nice that his trade actually runs through his town centre. Ooh, LoueMT losing that scout was actually pretty painful. I'm not sure if he's aware of the trade. I mean, he must be aware of something, because it's really suspicious for the Mongols not being a bit more aggressive. We're almost up to the 10-minute mark, and he's barely been attacked, apart from that initial failed outpost rush. It's not been a lot. Here come the spearmen. They do engage. Zhugnu coming out as well for LoueMT. I think LoueMT senses something. I think he realizes he's got a pressure issue, and he's going to be looking to be aggressive. He's not going for that castle age instead. He's going to play for a Zhugnu spearman rush, or push rather. And he is sending his units to that trade. I mean, he's probably well aware of it right by now. It's the only logical explanation. Doesn't actually have the neutral trademark, the trade post rather, scouted. He's going to scout it now, and he's going to know that, oh well, his opponent's been trading this whole time. Less than ideal. It's going to be caught actually out in the stealth forest, and that's a great pick off there by Beastie. Take away at least 3 to 4 spearmen, and that Shugani will go down as well. Trade unharmed so far. And he's looking strong in this game, Beastie, on Ancient Spires. Relatively equal eco accounts, but you certainly would want to take the trade over the village account any day of the week. He's starting to wall up this trade post, but that's not really the primary concern. It's this one. This is what LoueMT needs to get a hold of at the moment. The maneuver arrow is really, really nice for the Khan. It's able to chase down those units, and turns out LoueMT loses everything. Behind all of this, the castle age is coming up. Now, it's super interesting how beastyqt recently has been going with the step redoubt, even despite getting trade. There used to be a time where when you establish trade, you tend to go for the cruel type because you don't necessarily need the amount of gold that would be coming in from the step redoubt. But I guess it can pay off, especially if you're worried about the trade not being so solid. It's not the most amazing trade route either, but it's not too bad, not too bad. 114 gold, could be worse. But it is certainly a bit more of a safer approach to go for the step redoubt and make sure that you get that gold income secured and guaranteed, just in case your trade is punished. Going for triple stable, going to get the lancers out and have that mobility, and that again is a concern for the Chinese, because LoueMT with his feudal age push is really gone for the infantry, gone for Jugnu and spearmen. That really limits his map kind of control in terms of mobility, and he might be able to kind of limit the trade actually at the moment. But now, just whilst Beastie gets to that next stage, this is a bit of a window of opportunity for LoueMT to do some damage. The question is if he spots it or not. Well, he spotted the castle age tech up now. He's got a big notification of it. Find the army, try and find the rest of the trade, and Beastie just has the awareness to keep that trade safe for now. Doesn't really have any traders in the way anyway. Oh, it looks like he's going to set his traders on the west side. It doesn't quite know that it's been walled up, so it was a good idea to wall it up in the end, I suppose. The traders won't have much luck here on the west, and I guess again, the step redoubt now it really will be paying for itself because the trade has been shut down. That's certainly one way to take care of trade. Wall up one trade post and deny the other. Trouble for LoueMT is he is an age behind. He's going to go to the next stage himself, and he won't be too delayed because, of course, the Chinese do build very, very fast. Should be expecting to see the astronomical clock tower. We'll have to wait, just get confirmation of that, though. Just feels like this game almost is going to head into a big, big fight. I just wonder where the Beastie has the better resources. He's getting the veterancy upgrades as well. He's going to have a bit of a lead time. I would be expecting to see Beastie head forward now, just to make use of that early castle age time. Might even consider dropping a prayer tent for those relics. But he certainly needs to make that castle age count. He got there earlier, he needs to make it count for something, and whether it be upgrades, he's actually going to look to maybe burn down the walls. Yeah, he's going to burn down the palisades for now. And again, LoueMT will take a very long time to get his way across the map, and might need to actually send some villagers to wall this up, because if he leaves that prone and exposed, traders might just switch to the other direction. An undermesh coming in now for Louis. Beastie not running in with the lances, he just wants to bide his time. It's the trouble for Louis, he's kind of caught in between two. He doesn't want to take the fight. I think he wants to really wait for that castle age, get the veterancy upgrades for his Jugnu. I wouldn't be surprised to see that one of the first upgrades he gets. It's going to balance projectiles and the veterancy for the Jugnu, and it makes complete sense. He wants to take a good fight. I think if you're Beastie though, he wants to take the fight now, once the before the upgrades come in. Could be the case though that Louis could supervise the upgrading production building. That's exactly what's happening. That's really interesting mechanic actually for the Chinese, that when you age up, even though that's usually when you're most vulnerable, to be fair with the Chinese, you're not that vulnerable as long as you supervise the upgrade coming in. That's what's happened right now. Villagers being pushed away back to the town centre. Traders are coming back. beastyqt is just going to have a massive influx of gold. Oh, I say that. There's Jugnu picking the trade off, and well, it's probably a good idea that he took the step redoubt, because a lot of these trades might go down. Trouble for LoueMT, he's got a decision on his hand. Does he go for the army to try and make sure that his Jugnu have the best fight possible, or does he go for the traders? He had managed to kill quite a few traders, but a decent number will still get through, 7 of them. It's going to be a huge amount of gold influx rather. Concern for LoueMT, he's going to lose everything. I think this could be the GG. Losing this number of units to those lancers is very painful, and that's the problem with the Chinese infantry unit composition here. If you overextend, which LoueMT has actually done here, he's going to get caught out. He got caught out in a really big way. Didn't have the meat shield for the Jugnu. Jugnu on their own just won't cut it. Not with the lancers and the archers coming in behind. And LoueMT's military has been dwindled very, very badly. Loses the scout in the north as well. Doesn't have that scouting information. beastyqt now has a lot of map control. Can trade freely. Did lose a lot of traders, but it's not enough. It doesn't feel like enough. Eco balance is pretty similar, despite having the Song Dynasty for the Chinese. Continues to spam the Jugnu, and just worry because that didn't work the first time round. The number of lancers getting to a scary amount. does have the secondary ranged upgrade. Shugnu are struggling here. Doesn't have the spearman numbers he wants as well. Does have a couple of palace scars, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be enough of a meat shield. The army's going to ride in. The lancers forming a massive meat shield. Behind them are the veteran archers. Shugnu going to focus down on the veteran archers, but that's going to be painful because it means that the lancers there are going to be free to do a lot of damage. Quite a decent number of spears coming though for LoueMT. Lancers are taking a lot of damage. Khan comes into the fight as well. The Shugnu numbers are dwindling. Even against the veteran archers, they've traded pretty well. Lancers going to sweep up everything else, and now LoueMT down to 7 military versus 22. Eco is going to be idled massively. BC's Eco is pretty untouched apart from those traders that went down. Lancers are going to ride in and kill the remaining military. Trouble for LoueMT is how does he keep the military numbers building, because those lancers are just going to camp out on those production buildings. These number of spearmen popping out, those lancers won't be able to survive for long. But a big push by the Mongols. And the map control really helped. But just coming out to the berries. Oh, that's so unfortunate. That one lancer is going to kill all of those villagers. Villagers coming out here on the west for Beast as well. Looking to take the deer. Again, it comes down to map control. Traders coming in for another trip. Has managed to defend that position now, LoueMT. Main base is safe and secure. Only for now. Beastie doing a lot of damage. 75 eco to 61, and oh god, he lost so many villagers and a lot of villager idle time too. Just by one lancer. That presence of mind for Beastie to keep that one lancer on that speed resource. And that's something really to think about when you're playing Age of Empires 4 is when your opponent is under pressure. Denying key resources on the map is so huge. We'll lose the lancer though if he doesn't pull back. That lancer got so much value, but it's just coming out again. Attached to these berries, but that's not what he wanted. He wanted the deer. Getting the outpost to secure the trade network as well. The trade route. Trading to the neutral trade to the trade market there as well. We talked about the early stage of the game. That could have been a possibility. Trouble is, LoueMT struggling to build up numbers, and these are premium units. Lancers going to take a fight against the spearmen. When you have trade established here, as long as you're taking decent trades against your army, like you can still fight against counter units. That's what Beastie did. He traded a little bit there. Going to back off for now though. He's going to go and take the villagers here. He's going to have the movement ability as well. Taking a better fight. He's going to dive in on the Shugnu. Spearmen are going to find it difficult to keep up. Beastie did lose a lot of villagers there, has to be said, but the Lancer will take care of that Shugnu, and just be careful not to rush into the Spearman. Not sure that's a fight that Beastie wants to take. He's going to take it anyway. He's going to trade it out. In fact, there's not enough Lancers there with the archers combining. Oh, that's a big loss, because those villagers are now going to head back. LoueMT got a little bit greedy. 32 villagers there, and there it is. There's the temp out. LoueMT got caught out, and it is trade again that wins it. beastyqt triumphing on Ancient Spires.